Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Coffee Talk headlines as we try to make sense of the ridiculous, the nonsensical, and the idiocracy of this reality. We're going to get into some stories today that don't make any sense at all. We're also going to talk about the eye pain that some of you said you had experienced before, during, and after the eclipse. Interestingly enough, we're going to do some polls today, so hopefully we get a bigger crowd so that we can try to make sense of all this, because at least 2 or 3 people in the comments section said that they experienced some kind of eye pain. So we'll get into that. And look at this story. Okay, this makes absolutely no sense. As Americans are fighting with everything that they have to get their resumes noticed by potential employers so that they can better their lives, some space cadet decided it was a good idea to flood the job market with 80,000 fake resumes. Why did they do this? To try and catch companies being racist. Here we are in 2024, and they're trying to catch racist companies. Now, here's what's even more hilarious. Is it the way that they try to catch the companies being racist is by handing out fake racist resumes. I'm not making this up, you guys. Look at this. They literally say in here that they sent out resumes with black names. Leroy, Latasha. Are you serious? So they did all that work, and did they find any companies that were racist companies? They found 2 out of all the companies. I'm going to read this because it's actually kind of funny. I did leave a comment under this video. Using racism to try to find racism. I mean, did we just wake up in a new reality after this eclipse? Let's read this. What researchers discovered, this is the New York Times, you guys. What researchers discovered when they sent 80,000 fake resumes to U.S. jobs. A group of economists recently performed an experiment on around 100 of the largest companies in the country, applying for jobs using made-up resumes with equivalent qualifications but different personal characteristics. They changed applicants' names to suggest that they were white or black, or male or female. Letitia or Amy, Lamar or Adam. On Monday, they released the names of the companies. On average, they found employers contacted the presumed white applicants 9.5% more often than the presumed black applicants. Now, I wonder if they took into account the fact that there are a lot less black people in America than there are white people. I wonder if they took that into account. This is hilarious, you guys. But it's kind of sad, too, isn't it? Then it says here, 2 companies favored white applicants over black applicants significantly more than others. They were AutoNation, a used car retailer, which contacted presumed white applicants 43% more often than Genuine Parts Company, which sells auto parts including under the Napa brand, and called presumed white candidates 33% more often. Look at this. So, shame on AutoNation and GPC for ignoring our racistly generated black resumes. And then look, here's where the racial gap was the smallest. This is racist too. Because, you know, all black people drink Dr. Pepper, don't they? So that's why that didn't happen. Unbelievable. Anyway, we have to make light of this because of the hypocrisy of the whole thing. The thought that in 2024, a company would intentionally ignore what they thought were black resumes. I mean, in these days, you know, Rihanna and I were laughing about this. She's like, oh boy, is this why I couldn't find a job for 3 years? Because my name's Rihanna and they thought I was I go, look, it's hilarious, isn't it? How they are inferring this. Look at the resumes. So these are supposed to be white resumes. Todd Troyer, Todd, and Allison Byler. Resumes with distinctly white names. Wow. Here, look at this. Resumes with distinctly black names. I wonder if they messed up the grammar in the resume to try to make it more of a black resume. Lakeisha Alston and Leroy Heston. They should have just called him Leroy Froston. Unbelievable. Anyway, I make light of this because as a black person myself, and I say this because if I were a white person making fun of this, people would say, you're being insensitive, you're being racist by calling this out. No, I'm a black person, and this makes me laugh. So they're trying to infer that there's a bias against black people when it comes to resumes, okay, in America, which is just silly on its face. Now I left a comment down here. We'll see if it shows up. I'm not going to go look for that comment. Let's go back into the chat here and see what you guys think about this. What's going on? Really? 2024? Am I being silly, or is this all just hilarious? Now, for those of you that tuned into the Eclipse, as we were fumbling with the camera, there was like about a 10 or 15 second where Ree and I showed up on the camera. So you guys got to see like a little cameo. Now, we didn't intend to do that, but I was like, whatever. You know, we try to keep our privacy, but it is what it is. And the people that showed up, we were all having fun during the Eclipse, so that was fun. But, you know, here, because then what happens next is you're not black. You're trying to scam us. This is what people will say next. Okay, but then you can clearly see me on camera, and I'm a black man. I just maybe don't talk like maybe some other black people do. I don't know. There's supposed to be some kind of way that this is all supposed to, I don't know what it is. Anyway, what do you guys think about all this? Let me put it on live chat because I always miss everybody. I always forget to put it on live chat. Yeah, it is funny, isn't it? We started watching The Office from 2005, and it's full of this, just the irony and hypocrisy of race relations in America. Yeah. Okay, let's get on to some more stuff. Now, the way you bring people together is you point out the idiocracy of it all, right? That's the best thing that you can do for race relations, because then people begin to wake up, right? And they go, wow, even black people think this is ridiculous, because it is. We're going to put a black name on a resume. It's just stupid. All right. So that's how you bring races together, by laughing at the people that are supposedly in power that are lecturing all of us that there's a race problem. And they're the ones at the top actually making it worse by doing stupid stuff like that. So, yeah, if you didn't vote for Joe, you ain't black. Remember he said that? So, anyway, let's keep going with this. What else we got here? Oh, now on a more serious note, many of you said in the comments on the show the other day that your eyes were hurting. Well, weirdly, this story popped up. It literally says, do your eyes hurt after the eclipse? And so I was like, oh, okay, here we go. They're trying to do a bait and switch. They're trying to, write this off as if nothing happened. But maybe something did happen, because when have you ever heard of stories after an eclipse asking you if your eyes hurt after the eclipse? Now, we're going to do a couple polls here, and I want you to listen carefully because the poll might not apply to you. Okay, so we're going to do a before the eclipse, during or after, people in the totality, out of the totality, just to try to figure out what's going on here, try to get down to the bottom of this. Now, in the hours leading up to the eclipse, Ree said that her eyes actually did hurt. And so that's what triggered me to want to dig into this a little bit more, okay? Because the question is, let's do the first poll. Let's just make a poll here. Let's see here. Engage with your audience, start a poll. And the poll is, let's do our first question here. If you were in totality, did your eyes hurt during the eclipse? Guys, we can't trust these people to tell us the truth, right? So we have to come about our own truths based on the small sampling of people we have that come to the channel. So if you were in totality, did your eyes hurt during the eclipse is the question. Looks like the majority of you said no. Okay. The next question is going to be, if you were outside of the totality, did your eyes hurt? Oh, we gotta end this poll first. So it looks like the majority of you had no problems, but about 10% of you, maybe 5%, well, about 15% did have eye pain. Now, here's where things are going to get interesting, because now we're going to start looking outside of the totality. Okay, because this would indicate that there was something else at play, right? Start a poll. Let's see here. If you were outside the totality, did your eyes hurt the day of, or during, or after the eclipse? Okay, this is a more general question. So this is just general eye pain the day of, before, or after the eclipse. Start the poll. Now, my eyes feel okay, but, you know, different people react to different things differently, don't they? So let's see. Now, this would be only people outside of the totality. Okay. Now, what would this suggest? Well, I don't know. Well, there are a lot of people saying that they could have sprayed something on us during the eclipse. Now, I didn't see any evidence of that, but I'm not going to discount what people are saying if they're claiming that, because everyone has an opinion about what they think happened, right? So, looks like most of you did not have any eye pain, but about 30% of you did, or about 25% of you did, maybe 20%. So, there was something at play. Now, I'm going to do one last poll here, and we'll kind of move on, and this will help us put all this in perspective. I guess the next logical question is, if you answered yes about eye pain, was this atypical? Well, how do we word this? Was your pain rare, I guess? I don't know. Was your pain what's the word I'm looking for? Not unlikely, but was your pain not typical? That's what we're looking for. Because a lot of people suffer with eye pain, right? But was your eye pain not typical? That's the question we need to ask. All right, let's see. Was your pain not typical? All right. New. Thanks, honey. Yeah, was it new eye pain? So was it typical? Then most of you said no. So there appears, just in this small sampling, there could have been some kind of phenomenon going on. Now I'm going to leave this poll up just so it can get the most amount of votes as possible, so we can get a good sampling of eye pain, atypical eye pain. So let's keep going with these stories here, because this next story is actually hilarious. Madonna can't help herself, right? She's in her own alternate reality. And what happened with Madonna? Well, she's now demanding that the venue that hosted her respect me. You better respect me, because that's how you get people to respect you. You demand respect, right? Now, what was she complaining on? What was she on about? Well, she was complaining because she said it was too cold. So now, put this in perspective here. This is down in Florida, and, you know, we're getting into a hot time of the year, and she said that it was too cold at the venue. I think let's play some of this. Wow. And here's the thing, right? Who cares about the fans that came to see her and their comfort level with the temperature in the room?
How much? I have been waiting for this whole fucking show. I am working my ass off.
Shuckin', juckin'. Look at her.
The show will not go on until you respect me.
Whoa. So apparently she's taking it personally that the venue turned up the air conditioning, and all of a sudden she has a meltdown because she feels offended. Wow. Now, Madonna, if you don't know, I think she's approaching 70 years old and still doing performances. And wow, unbelievable. Now, let's keep going here and see what else is going on in the headlines. Well, another container ship, they're saying, has lost propulsion and almost hit another bridge. Now, this reminds me of the whole train wreck thing that happened a couple years ago. Remember that? There were trains derailing all over the country, and they tried to tell us this was normal and that this happens all the time. It's just not reported, right? Well, now all of a sudden we got a new phenomenon. It's almost as if this is about the destabilization of the supply chain is what this is starting to shape up to me. So that when things completely fall apart, people will be programmed not to ask any questions, or at least all they'd have to do is derail a train or have a container ship run into something to basically make everybody not expect to get whatever they ordered online in time, right? Let's read about this, you guys. This was during the eclipse. A huge container ship lost propulsion in New York's harbor and came to a halt close to Verrazano Bridge over the weekend in an eerily similar scenario to the deadly disaster in Baltimore less than 2 weeks earlier. The 1,145-foot long Qingdao lost propulsion in the waters around New York City on Friday evening. Coast Guard said it had received a report about 8:30 about the incident while the huge vessel was making its way through the Kill Van Cole waterway. Wow, Kill Van Cole waterway. The channel is 3 miles long, 1,000 feet wide, straight between Staten Island and New York and Bayonne, New Jersey, which connects Newark Bay and Upper New York Bay, one of the most heavily traveled waterways in the port area. A massive ship was able to regain propulsion, was assisted by 3 towing vessels. So, what is causing these vessels to lose power? What is this about? Is this some kind of cyber attack or what they tell us? Now, there was some chatter out there about trafficking, and some of these ports were known for trafficking, and people were asking what's on these container ships, what's actually on them. Why is there a federal investigation instead of these people doing an insurance claim on their losses, right? I mean, we're talking about shipping, you guys. This should just be basically an insurance investigation, but instead the feds are taking care of this, which could connotate some kind of cover up. So now we've got runaway barges, runaway shipping containers. Unbelievable. What else is going on? Well, can you believe this? They're now calling the Francis Scott Key Bridge a racist bridge. And they're threatening to rename the bridge after a black person. Oh, this will just do wonders for race relations in America. You see how these people operate? Let's read this. Fox News. African-American groups call for ditching racist Francis Scott Key, naming the new bridge after a late congressman. Coalition of African-American groups in Maryland is pushing for Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge to be renamed, once reconstructed over what they say is racism connected to Key's legacy. Caucus of African-American leaders of Anne Arundel County recently voted unanimously to call for the changing the names of the 2 bridges in Maryland, including the Key Bridge, and will lobby Democratic Governor Wes Moore and state's Democrat-controlled blah, 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 blah. We don't need to start renaming bridges. This is ridiculous. This just adds to the race, problems with race relations, right? That's all it does. Just leave things as they are and move forward from this point in time. I mean, who's running this country? These are about a bunch of third graders. Unbelievable. So they're talking about some racist quote attributed to Francis Scott Key, and as if none of the other people. I mean, if you're going to apply this rule, you got to go all the way to the top. You got to go all the way up to George Washington and other people and Lincoln. If you want to apply this rule, it needs to be applied to everyone. Now, I'm not inferring that this rule should be applied, but all these presidents have made racist comments. Reagan has made racist comments, called black people a bunch of monkeys. So we're going to get rid of all the Reagan libraries and all that stuff too? I mean, this is ridiculous. So it just is what it is. All right, we're going to end this poll. Looks like at least 30% of you had some eye problems surrounding the eclipse. That was not typical. So that means something, right? Now let's pop over here and get an update on electric vehicles. Now this is just silly. Okay, the electric vehicle rope-a-dope seems to be coming to a close finally. Thank goodness. But what about all the people that bought electric vehicles? What about people that have, insurance on these things and all these things, right? What about them? Well, apparently the electric vehicle market is imploding. It says EVs have crashed into the hard reality that Americans just don't want them. Yeah, we tried to tell people they don't want them. Something big is happening in the U.S. market for battery electric vehicles. And it isn't positive for the industry that makes them or for the Biden administration subsidied dreams. Now, I think I heard that Trump came out and was saying he was going to now, go after electric vehicles, but he flip-flops so much on that. We don't know what's going to happen. What I think is going to happen is there's going to be another flip-flop. And when Trump gets elected, which they're saying he is going to be, which we knew was going to happen, he'll come up with some new technology to save the electric vehicle industry. That's what I think is going to happen. There's going to be some kind of huge disclosure about electric vehicle technology, battery technology, or energy. There's going to be some free energy. Maybe he'll go through and commission a bunch of, nuclear power plants. Who knows what's going to happen? But in my mind, I think that when Trump gets elected, he's going to try to solve it. And then we'll be right back up on this electric vehicle thing again. Let's keep reading here. It says, during the final few months of 2023, the market saw sales slowing, unsold electric vehicles piling up on dealer lots. So this is what happens when the government tries to force the economy instead of let it happen naturally. Okay. Tesla's struggling to get a handful of its much hyped Cybertrucks onto the market after 5 long years of promises. Pure play EV companies like Fisker teetering on the financial brink, and traditional automakers like Ford and GM announcing delays in their plans to investment for future EV development. Things have not improved across the first quarter 2024. So EVs seem to be imploding. There's EV graveyards outside Detroit. Hundreds of unsold F-150 Lightning EV pickups. You guys, these things are going to be free pretty soon. They're going to be giving them away. But don't get rope-a-doped in this, because electric vehicle technology is no good. And people know that. So this is what's happening with that. Well, how about this? Let's make a pandemic and then give out a bunch of free money, or give out a bunch of people's tax dollars in the form of inflation that we're experiencing now. And let's give it out with pretty much no oversight, right? And then the fraudsters can steal a bunch of free money, and then let's pay a bunch of bureaucrats to get some of that money back while throwing in a bunch of innocent people into the mix who now have to deal with the government. This is just brilliant, isn't it? Now, if you've ever gotten a letter from the IRS, I just got one the other day. I think they're kind of coming after me now at this point. And I made the dumb mistake of not changing my address in California when I had my PayPal set up over there. And so California says, you owe us taxes. I go, I was not living in California in that year, but now I got to sit there and prove it. So I got to get on the phone after the show and tell them that the address that was in PayPal was an incorrect address. And I did not make money in California from my PayPal account in 2021. I got to go back and dig up all this stuff. It's just ridiculous. So this is what's going on, you guys. Cracking down on pandemic aid fraud, the DOJ claws back $1.4 billion and charges 3,500 people. Now, understand that they just didn't, they had to go through tens of thousands of people, maybe even 1 million people, to charge 3,500 people. So can you imagine the DOJ sends you a letter or shows up to your door and they're investigating you for fraud because you got a check from the government? Could you imagine how the fear, because once these people have your number, you know, they don't stop messing with you. Well, let's read this. Now, I saw some of this going on during the pandemic. There was a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of problems, things that didn't make sense, things that didn't add up. You saw people getting a bunch of money. You saw some people getting no money, right? And there were some people literally basically taking advantage of the system, using fake addresses, fake people, dead people, and getting tens of thousands of dollars in aid. And this is the problem behind all this. This is why it's dumb to think that you can hand out a check to every single man, woman, and child in America. It just doesn't make any sense. It says here, during the last 3 years, Justice Department has charged more than 3,500 people with federal crimes, recovering more than $1.4 billion in stolen pandemic funds, and reached more than 400 civil settlements and judgments. Now I can show you a clip right now from Donald Trump's lips telling people you don't have to pay back those loans. Well, apparently, that's not the case. Another honey trap. Here, take the money. You don't have to pay it back. White House officials and lawmakers used the announcement as a springboard to propose legislation to provide more funding for anti-fraud enforcement, extend the statute of limitations on persecuting crimes, and improving government databases to better detect when payments shouldn't be made. Well, they should have done all that before, right? Why are they talking about this after the fact? We will continue our efforts to investigate and prosecute pandemic relief fraud and to recover the assets that have been stolen from American taxpayers. Well, what's been stolen from American taxpayers is that we didn't have a choice for the federal government to send out money that got wasted that then caused hyperinflation several years later. The inflation that we're experiencing now. The doubling of the cost of a pack of eggs, right? And all that stuff that happened and everything else we're going through right now. So that's what's going on, you guys. Hopefully none of you got pulled into this drama with all this, because I can only imagine. I mean, when my mom called me and told me she got a letter from the state of California that I owed taxes, I was like, yeah, it's an unsettling feeling knowing that these people, and then they threaten you in the letter and they're like, if you do not respond in 3 weeks, we will apply penalties, and they can now go after your properties and stuff like this. This is what's going on in America, you guys. This is how they're going to do it. They're going to do it through some technicality, right? This is why it's best to have as little of these people's claws in you as possible, because all it takes is shifting or turning the screws, and then they can come after people. Now, kind of skipped over this story. Cancer rates rising exponentially for young people. And this is crazy, you guys, and nobody wants to talk about the obvious. And the timing of all this is all we can say. The timing of accelerated aging and cancer in young people. Let's read this story. Cancer rates rising in young people due to accelerated aging, new study finds. Highly troubling. Accelerated aging, when someone's biological age is greater than their chronological age, could increase the risk of cancer tumors. That's what they're saying here in a meeting in San Diego. Historically, both cancer and aging have been viewed primarily as concerns for older populations. And now they're saying that it's for everybody. Younger demographics over the past decades, unexpected. Patients younger than 55 years old were considered early onset cancers, and now this is becoming normal. So this was in the UK, 148,000 people using the UK Biobank They estimate each person's biological age using 9 biomarkers in the blood, then compared to their chronological age. Those with the higher biological age had a 42% increased risk of early onset lung cancer, gastrointestinal cancer, and uterine cancer. So, this is what's going on, you guys. Wow, just the timing of all this is what gets me. Alright, you guys, well, I think that's about all I had for you today. We're going to get back into the Fringe binge, see if we can get through a couple more of these episodes. And what's going on in the chat here? Good morning. Yeah, it breaks my heart too. It's unbelievable. Donette's got wild turkeys. Yeah, ours disappeared. I don't know where they went. We have been out in the yard quite a bit. Maybe they're just shy. But there's plenty of ash piles from the mess around in. So I'm hoping they come back because I think turkey season starts up here in a minute. So, oh wow, Jody says both sister and I unvaxxed. She is 12 years old. We're both diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm sorry to hear that. All right. Thanks, Felix. Thanks for showing up, you guys. Auto repossessions are at an all-time high, says Bill. Thanks for that, Bill. Wow. All right. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Bogo. All right, you guys. I'm going to pop off of here. I guess get on with the state of California. See if I could sit on hold for 5 hours. See if I can get down to the bottom of this. Show them proof that I wasn't living in California. Gosh, you guys, it's only going to get worse with these people. The more technology, the more technology that they have, they're going to be basically have our thumb on all of us. And so, again, if you can, try to unplug from all this stuff. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. All right. I love each and every one of you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.